this is for all the people that would claim water to be a food. Of course, there's water in the atmosphere and you breathe it in. So, of course, I'm considering moisture as something that needs to be replenished if lost. But there's various ways of obtaining moisture. Again, the skin is like the third kidney. Like I said, breathing it in. Um, and just being in a humid atmosphere, your skin, again, absorbs moisture. So there's plenty of ways of getting it without drinking it. And in general, the more you eat, the more you would have to drink. So the less that you eat of earth, the less that you would have to consume of water, because those balance each other out. Earth and water, fire and air. So like the less that you consume in earth, the less water that you would have to consume to compensate the processing of said earth. So it's really that simple. Once you find a balance and get back to zero, then you understand all the compensating you've been doing all of your life that creates that yo-yo effect, because you're constantly trying to plug up all the holes without just getting back to zero and keeping it real with every part of your being, and understand, just really detaching from what you're doing and understanding your cycles and realizing the difference between need and want, because it's a significant difference. Wanting is infinite. People want to want. People want people that don't want them, because it creates, if you have nothing to want, that creates its own sense of want right there, because people want to want. Once you've got something, it's very difficult for people to continue to want it. Can you want what you already have? It's basically a simple way of putting it, and it's very possible. um I say the most easiest way to make that point would be, if you have a spouse that you have, you could say you have, because you don't own them or their body. They don't even own their body. Everything is a loan in this life, and or rental, however you want to look at it. So you could say you have a spouse and you still want them. So yes, you can want what you have, but many continue this cycle of wanting to want, and that creates this expansion of emotion. And of course, emotion itself is represented in a physical form as water. The subconscious behavior and emotional behavior is represented in a physical form as water. That's just a different arrangement of melanin or ultraviolet energy, what have you. So in an earthly form, it would be carbon, whatever. But all I'm saying is it's just vibration in different arrangements. And emotion is expressed in the physical form as water in the subconscious. So a person retaining water is making moves out of their subconscious level of being. That's their faculty of creation. They're creating from a subconscious level. The subconscious does have, of course, deep intuitions and things that come across that can break through. But when we're talking about somebody leading a life ran by the subconscious and the emotions of the body, that person will retain a great amount of water, and of course, that has everything to do with what they're eating, because they're eating something that forces them to retain water. They're eating things out of this sense of lack or need, which, so they eat more than what they need, because people eat out of emotional reasons and entertainment. So you create more, because out of this sense of lack, you eat more. Now to counter that sense of lack, now you need more water. Now this just created even more of a need in the grand scheme of people in the world. Just think about that, right? It's just like how we went from being dissatisfied from using all our faculties of being able to create infinite sources of energy from the air, from the sunlight, because all the sun is just raining melanin or ultraviolet energy down, and we breathe it in. The skin absorbs it, everything absorbs it. Creating music being music. These are infinite sources of energy, because that's what it is. Energy equals matter. It's all vibration in various densities. So we got to this point where we wanted to give up our creative ability and give it up to someone else and let them use our creative ability and use our will against us, because of what one reason or another. So it all comes down to this sense of lack or sense of need, and it always ties in with the sugar. That's the original drug. It's the original vice. It's the sugar, and that creates all of the other vices. So the sugar is the root to money. Sugar is the root to eating animals. Sugar is the root to dairy. Sugar is the root to the everything, impotence. So okay, let's think of a line of thinking. The sugar will create the lymph that dries up. That's called cholesterol or plaque. And when the sugar also created the dairy and the meat, which created more cholesterol and plaque. And we're talking about generations of people in general. So that created all of that. So now you're impotent, or you're dry if you're a female. You know what I mean? You can't get it up as a male. So these things happen. So that what happens with that thought? What comes from this thought now? So now you have even more lack because you can't perform in that way. So what anxieties come off of that thought? And then what comes off of the energy that's created off of that anxiety in your life? Now you might take it out on somebody that had nothing to do with it, which creates another ripple. So it always comes down to the sugar interfering with the hypothalamus, which is the mood regulator of the body. So it's just about getting that sugar demon in control and realizing the difference between needing and wanting.